This is the story about our American Revolution. British General Lord Cornwallis could not suppress the American rebellion in the South. Frustrated by losses at Kings Mountain, Cowpens, and Guilford Courthouse, Cornwallis moved his army north to Virginia in an effort to turn off the spigot of French aid that was helping fuel the American resistance. By establishing a military base of operations at Yorktown, Cornwallis could be reinforced by British Royal Navy supply ships, vessels that were soon engaged in a fierce naval battle off the Virginia Capes. While French and British ships battled for control of the Chesapeake Bay, Generals George Washington and Rochambeau were marching their troops and wagon trains south through Virginia to lay siege to Yorktown, entrapping Cornwallis and his entire army. This is the story of that march.
Hello, and welcome to the Real American Revolution, where we explore what really happened before, during, and after America's War for Independence. This series, retracing the Washington-Rochambeau Revolutionary Route, is sponsored by the National Park Foundation and the Washington-Rochambeau Revolutionary Route Association, often referred to as W3R US. Now, my name is Randy Flood, and I've been your host through this entire series. Today, we are on the site of the Yorktown battlefield and the French Memorial, and we're delighted to have with us today also Dr. Robert Selig, America's foremost historian on the Washington-Rochambeau Revolutionary Route.
Thank you very much, Mr. Flood, for your introduction again, as our journey along the Washington-Rochambeau route is nearing its end. We are here today in Yorktown at the French Memorial, put up in 1981 for the bicentennial of the siege and victory at Yorktown. The French Memorial honors the sacrifices of French soldiers and sailors in American victory. As you look at the memorial here and the different regiments and units of the Comte de Rochambeau, of the Marquis de Saint-Simon, of Admiral de Grasse are listed, you see the names of many different regiments: Arguenois, Angoulême, Bourbonnais, Regiment de Brie, Foix, the Regiment Dillon, the Regiment Gatineau. And as you start looking at this regiment, if you do a little research on what they are, you'll find out these are not just French regiments in the meaning of the word, but here the Regiment Dillon, for example, is a regiment that originally is recruited in Ireland. So they are Irishmen here who fight for American independence, or you could also say they're fighting against Great Britain in a global war. There are 3 Irish English-speaking regiments in the French army at the time of the American War of Independence. We look at the General Saint-Simon and keep going at the names, the many, many names of soldiers from the different regiments, from the different detachments who gave their lives here for American independence. If you look at these lists closer, however, if we go here to the Regiment Royal de Pont, for example, we get to a German-speaking regiment. The French Army, too, is a multilingual army with French, German, English-speaking troops. There's even a Royal Italian regiment, or regiment recruited from Italian speakers in the French army. If we look at these names a little closer, you will see names that are obviously German names, like Hilsenberger, for example, or Hoffmann. But then again, you see names like Orkensud Erasmus Here is a soldier in the Royal Dupont Regiment who's clearly of Dutch origin, who is over here. And here we have Georges Schneble, who is probably from the Alsace-Lorraine region where this regiment is recruited. And you of course have people with a French background. These names all represent people. They represent lives of men with parents, with siblings, some of them with children who are buried here. They all represent a human life that was given here. But what we are commemorating here is just one small aspect, one small component of the contributions of France to American independence, because the Yorktown campaign that the Comte de Rochambeau is involved in, the Yorktown campaign is just one theater of the war in what is clearly a global war, and the Comte de Rochambeau is not even the first French officer who is here in the United States. The Comte d'Estaing is here 2 years earlier with a fleet to help the Americans in their War of Independence. The Comte de Rochambeau is not the only French officer with French troops who is over here at the Siege of Charleston. There's a whole group of African Americans that come up to help to defend the Siege of Charleston, to fight for American independence, who were captured by the British and sold back into slavery after they had been captured into the West Indies. The war is not only a war that's waged here in the Western Hemisphere. As this whole war becomes a global war, we have French soldiers fighting British soldiers in Gibraltar, which is the longest siege of a British fortress in British history. The war is waged in Senegal, where the Duc de Lauzon is before he comes over here with Lauzon's legion, where French soldiers fight and are killed in this global war. The war is most certainly also waged in India, where there are almost as many French soldiers as Rochambeau has here in a war that goes on for years. This war is a naval war that is waged all over the world, including Gibraltar, including England, including the West Indies, of course, where Admiral de Grasse fights and loses a war against a battle against Admiral Rodney in April of 1782. All of these events, all of these battles that go on for years across the globe, in one way or another, weaken Great Britain and make it impossible for Great Britain to send more troops here to suppress the American struggle for freedom. All of these men contribute and give their lives for, in one way or another, for American independence. It's a global war. It's a war waged on land. It's a war waged on water. Let's not forget that as we are standing here in Yorktown at the French Memorial, where we consider and remember and think of French soldiers who gave their lives here at this pivotal siege, this pivotal event in the War of Independence.
Bob, thanks so much for explaining the importance and the significance of the French Memorial here in Yorktown. To our viewers, thank you for watching. On behalf of the Real American Revolution, my name is Randy Flood. So long for now.